All right, so we're all ready to stretch this dough and then form it down into the pan. And if there's one kind of moment with Chicago style pizza, this is the kind of probably trickiest or at least the part that you need to learn, firsthand. It's hard to, I think for me at least, it was hard to get this out of cookbooks for a long time. So when I'm forming this dough, I'm just stretching it. I don't need to form a ridge. And so I'm just stretching the dough, trying to make sure that it's nice and even all around. And then as soon as I get it to a certain kind of level of thinness to where I can get my knuckles kind of under it, I just keep stretching and kind of turning and stretching and turning so that I get a nice even kind of layer all around. And you see how I'm kind of pinching it with my thumbs, just working very, very softly, very gently. And once I get it to where it's maybe getting close to the size of my springform, which in this case is a 10-inch springform pan, then I'm gonna just kind of plop this into the bottom of my springform. Okay, and so I'm just gonna keep kind of stretching it out as I've got it in the springform. And then when I get it to about where the circumference of the springform is, I'm gonna start pressing directly down. And something that's pretty important here is to make sure that you have enough dough, both so that it can kind of creep up the sides, but then also that you have enough on this bottom layer, because something that can really happen with these pizzas is that all that moisture is going to soak down, and if you don't have a nice kind of layer of dough at that bottom, it'll soak right through and it'll be just kind of a soggy mess. So anyway, as you've got this pizza, you're pressing it straight down with your hand, and what you can see is that it's creeping up the sides already, and that's exactly what you want. That's how you get that nice thick crust on the side that will expand and then give you some airiness. And once it sort of crawls up the side a little bit, you start kind of gathering it in the corner here, okay? So that it crawls up just a little bit more. Okay. Kind of work it in there. We've got kind of a thin spot. We want to look out for those. And so I'm just going around very carefully, making sure that it's gathering up the sides. And then when that's all set, I'm going to take a bunch of cheese and just put it right in the middle like this. And like we'd said, about a half a pound, maybe 2/3 of a pound. I don't like to go with the full pound that is sometimes recommended in these recipes. And I just take my hands and I press right down. So I'm pressing that in. Oh, I have an alarm going. So I'm pressing that down and it's creeping up the sides like this, and I'm just kind of turning. And you can see how that dough is just coming right up the sides like that. And so I'm compressing and compressing, and you want this cheese, this shredded cheese, really to almost form like a solid layer or something like that. Okay, because what's gonna happen is that that's all gonna melt together, and then you'll have this really nice kind of layer of cheese. And I would say that was about a half a pound of cheese that I put in there. So certainly not the full pound that's sometimes recommended. And then from there, I have my ingredients, and I did all veggies for this one. And this is one of my favorite kind of combinations for Chicago style pizza. But I've got some mushrooms, and as I was saying, I've kind of cooked some of the liquid out of these. I just tossed them in the skillet and let them cook down. And for mushrooms, I like to have kind of chunks of mushrooms like this so that they have some substance to them rather than doing just slices. I've got some spinach that I've wilted. This is like a full bag of spinach. And then I have some roasted garlic. And so to roast the garlic, that's simple enough. Just chop off the head of the garlic and then you know, roast it in the oven at about 400 degrees for like 40 to 45 minutes. So let's start putting some of these toppings on. So I've got my spinach going. Okay, and then we're just gonna kind of put some mushrooms on there, and you can be generous with the toppings on the Chicago pizza. This is decadence that we're dealing with, so you don't have to be super bashful about what you're putting in this pizza. It's designed to take lots and lots of toppings. Some other kind of classic combinations for like you know, meat eaters certainly are like sausage and mushroom, or sausage, pepperoni, and mushroom. You know, these nice kind of hearty ingredients. And so I'm just distributing this roasted garlic, which really gives you a nice kick of flavor. And from there, I'm just going to take that marinara that we made and layer it over the top. And I'm just kind of trying to make that a nice even layer like that. Getting that kind of out of the way. And then my last step here in topping the pizza is I just want to take some olive oil and put a ring around that pizza, and that's going to do a couple of things. One is it's going to give you some nice kind of golden kind of crust, but then also it's going to create this barrier so that when you try to get the pizza out of the pan, it pops out more easily. And so we'll go into the oven with this at 400 degrees. I've preheated my oven. And we'll do that for about 40 to 45 minutes.